Hey guys, I'm Bhavya. I'm an instructor at Skiller Academy. In this video, I will discuss the problems of code drift. So this contest was on maths this time, and I'll discuss the first two problems in this video, which will be the very easy problem and the medium problem. So let's look at the very easy problem first. A shopkeeper sells daily A units of item, and his shop remains closed on weekends, that is Saturday and Sunday. We need to find the number of weeks it will take to sell B units of them. Assume that the first day will be Monday and then return the seal value of the number of weeks. For example, if it takes 9 days to sell all units, then return 2 weeks. So for example, if
A is 3 and B is 7.
that is each day we sell 3 items and we need to sell 17 items in total. So on the first 5 days, shopkeeper can sell 15 items. After that, we will have a weekend, which will be Saturday and Sunday. So on 8th day, we will sell the remaining 2 items. So the number of weeks required is actually 2. So let's look at the solution outline. So actually first let's find the number of days it will take to sell all the items. So since we are selling A items each day, so we'll keep selling A items each day, and we will do that until this value actually becomes greater than or equal to weeks. So for example, if the total number of items are 17 and we sell 3 items each day, we will sell 3 items the first day, then 3 items the next day, 3, 3, 3, so on up till the items become 15. And now we'll only sell 2 items. So we can say that the total number of days required will actually be seal of B by A, where seal is the smallest integer greater than or equal to B by A. So for example, for 17 by 3, this will be 6, because this is the smallest integer which is greater than or equal to 17 by 3, because the value of 17 by 3 is something around 5.6666 and so on. So now we know the number of days. To find the number of weeks, we can actually use a similar idea, because we know that in a week we will only open the shop for 5 days. So the total number of days will be seal of days by 5. And to calculate the seal of P and Q, so if we need to calculate the seal of P by Q, we can actually use the formula P plus Q minus 1 by Q, where this is the integer division. So for example, for 17 by 3, this will be 17 plus 2 by 3, which is 19 by 3. And this will be 6, because we are only calculating the integer division. So let's actually implement this. So we assign days as B plus A minus 1 by A, which is seal of B by A. So days is seal of B by A, and we will simply return days plus 4 by 5, which is seal of days by 5, which is our answer. So let's actually submit it to check. So we have written the code here, and it works on the sample cases, and let's submit it. It works on all the cases. Now let's look at the second problem, which was the medium problem, count good subsequences. So an array is good if all the elements present in it have the same frequency. For example, 2, 3, 3, 2 is good because both 2 and 3 have frequency 2. 2, 3, 2 is not good because the frequencies of 2 and 3 are 2 and 1 respectively. You are given an array A, you need to count the number of non-empty subsequences which are good. So since the answer can be large, you need to return it modulo 10 raised to 9 plus 7. And the length of A will be around 2 into 10 to the power 5, and the length of AI will be between 1 and 10 to the power 9. So we need to find it modulo 10 raised to 9 plus 7. So for example, if A is 1 to 1, the total number of good subsequences will be 6, because all subsequences of length 1 are good because the frequency will be 1. Similarly, all subsequences of length 2 will be good, because for the array subsequence 1 2, the frequency is 1. For the subsequence 2 1, the frequency is 1, and for the subsequence 1 1, the frequency of all elements is 2. But the array of length 3 will not be good, because the frequency of 1 is 2 and the frequency of 2 is 1, which is not equal. So the total number of subsequences which are good are 6. So let's look at the model solution. So let's actually take a bigger array, 2 5 3 2 3 5 7. Let's actually add another 2. So since we need to find subsequences, we can actually ignore the order of elements, because the subsequence is equivalent to choosing some elements out of the given elements, and the order here does not matter. So we can actually sort this array. So this will be 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 7, So what we'll do is, instead of iterating all the subsequences, we'll fix the frequency f. F is the frequency of all the elements present in the subsequence. So for example, if the subsequence is 2, 2, 3, 3, and we know that this is good because the frequency of 2 is 2 and the frequency of 3 is 2. So f will be 2 for this case because all the elements have frequency 2. So we are actually fixing the frequency f of all the elements present in the subsequence. So let's say f is 2. If f is 2, how many subsequences will be there such that all the elements have frequency 2? So consider the element 2. There are 3C2 ways to select two elements whose value is 2. But we can also ignore the element 2. So there is one way to actually ignore them. And if we want to take it, there are 3C2 ways. Similarly, consider 3. There is one way to ignore it, that is to discard the elements 3. And if we want to take it, we will have 2C2 ways because we have two elements whose frequency is 3 and we want to take two of them. So there will be 2C2 ways. Similarly, for 5, the number of ways will be 2C2. And for 7, the number of ways will be 1 plus 1C2, and 1C2 is actually 0. So this will be 1. That actually means that we can only ignore the element 7. We cannot take it because the frequency is 1 and we cannot select two elements because we only have one element. But notice that we need to subtract 1 here as well because we have to subtract the case where we ignore all the elements, that is we get an empty subsequence and we only need to count non-empty subsequences. So I'll subtract 1 here. Now let's actually do it for any general f. So if our frequency is, so from here you can notice that we only care about the frequencies of elements, not the values of elements. So let's store the frequencies of elements f1, f2, f3 and so on up till fk in sorted order. So for example, here the frequencies are 3, 2, which is the frequency of 3, 2, which is the frequency of 5, and 1, which is the frequency of 7. So we'll store this list in sorted order 1, 2, 2, 3, and the sum of these frequencies will be equal to the length of this array. So because 2 plus 2, which is 4, 5 and 8, and the total number of elements are 8 here as well, because the sum of frequencies of elements will be equal to the total number of elements. So we are storing this list in sorted order f1, f2, f3 and so on up till fk. So let's actually fix f. All the elements will have frequency f, and we know that the number of such subsequences will be 1 plus f1 cf into 1 plus f2 cf. That means that we can either ignore this element, and there is only one way to ignore it, or we can select f elements, which will be f2 cf, and so on up till 1 plus fk cf, and we will subtract 1 here as well. So this gives the total number of subsequences for any f, and we will do that for all f from 1 to fk, because after that we cannot have f as fk plus 1 because the maximum frequency is fk. And we will simply add this value. For all f, and this will give us the total number of subsequences. Now let's actually think how fast this actually is. So if we were to know a way to calculate NCR in O of 1, so let's say we know that we can calculate NCR in O of 1 using some pre-processing. I'll describe it later, but let's say we know that. So we can actually calculate NCR in O of 1 with some pre-processing. Now how fast calculating this formula will be. So notice that if our frequency was 2, 3, 5, 7, 8 or something like that. Let's say our frequency is 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. And we are considering f equal to 4. So if we are considering f equal to 4, we only need to consider the elements 5, 7 and 8, because for 2 and 3, this value will be 1 plus 2c4 into 1 plus 3c4. And we know that NCR where n is less than r will be 0. So this will only contribute 1 to our product. So we can actually ignore these two elements. And since we have sorted this frequency array, we can find the first element which is greater than or equal to 4 using binary search. So we can use binary search to find the first element which is greater than or equal to 4, which will be 5 in this case. So now let's actually find what will be the contribution of each element. How many times will each element be considered in our formula? So if we have a sorted array of frequencies f1, f2, f3 and so on up till fk, fi will only be considered for all the f from 1 to fi, because after that this term will only contribute 1, because we know that 1 plus the contribution of this fi will be 1 plus fi cf for all the f, and if f is greater than fi, this value will be 0, so this will only contribute 1, and we will ignore that, as we said here that for f equal to 4 we will ignore 2 and 3. So this fi will only be considered fi times, so our total time complexity will be sigma fi, which is n, because we know that the sum of frequency is n. So to make it more clear, considering this example 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, for f equal to 1, we'll consider this element, this element, this element, this element, this element. So all the elements will be considered for f equal to 1. For f equal to 2, again we'll consider this element, so this will be considered twice now, this will be considered twice, this will be considered twice, this will be considered twice, this will be considered twice. For f equal to 3, we will actually not consider 2 because this is lesser. So the next element which is greater than or equal to 3 is 3. So I'll only consider the elements from 3 to 3, 5, 7, and 8, and so this will be considered thrice, this will be considered thrice, this will be considered thrice, and this will be considered thrice. For f equal to 4, we'll only consider 5, 7, and 8, so all of these elements will now be considered 4 times. For f equal to 5, we'll consider 5, 7, and 8 again, so this will be considered, all of these elements will be considered 5 times now. For f equal to 6, we'll consider only the elements 7 and 8, so they will be considered 6 times both. For f equal to 7, again both the elements will be considered, so both these elements will have been considered 7 times now. For f equal to 8, we'll only consider this 8, and so this will be considered 8 times now. So you can see that each element is considered equal to the value. So fi will be considered fi times, so the total time complexity is O of n here. But now, how to calculate NCR in O of 1 with some pre-processing? So we know that NCR is equal to n factorial upon r factorial upon n minus r factorial. So what we'll do is actually store all the factorials from 1 to n, and we know that factorial of I is equal to I into fact of I minus 1, and this can be done using a single loop, and we'll actually obviously do this calculation modulo mod, which is 10 to the 9 plus 7 in our case. And to calculate inverse of factorials, so we know that if we know fact of n, to calculate inverse factorial of n, what we'll do is we'll calculate factorial raised to mod minus 2 modulo mod using Fermat's theorem, because we know that the inverse of a modulo prime number p will be a raised to p minus 2 modulo mod, and a raised to p minus 2 can be calculated using binary exponentiation. So this will be inverse factorial of n. So we can calculate inverse factorial of n using this way. So this will be O of n, and this will be n log mod, because we are doing binary exponentiation, and we know that binary exponentiation will take log of power time, which is log of mod here. But this can actually be done fast. So if we can calculate inverse factorial of n using binary exponentiation, what we can do is to calculate inverse factorial of n minus 1, we can multiply inverse factorial of n with n and then take the modulo. So this will give us inverse factorial of n minus 1. This is because inverse factorial of n is 1 upon n factorial, and we multiplied by n, and this will give us 1 upon n minus 1 factorial, which is equal to the inverse factorial of n minus 1. So we'll actually look at the code to make it more clear, to make all the ideas combine all the ideas and make it more clear. So here our solution starts. We'll pre-process, that is, we will calculate the factorials and inverse factorials. So our pre-process, we store an array f, which is the factorials, and an inverse, which is inverse factorial. So f of 0 is 1, because you know f factorial of 0 is 1. And now we'll iterate from 1 to n and assign f of I as I into f of I minus 1, because that's the definition of factorials. And now we assign inverse factorial of n minus 1 as factorial of n minus 1 raised to m minus 2, and that can be done using binary exponentiation. Now for calculating inverse factorial of I, what we'll do is we will use inverse factorial of I plus 1. So inverse factorial of I will be I plus 1 into inverse factorial of I plus 1, because inverse factorial of I plus 1 is 1 upon I plus 1 factorial, and we'll multiply I plus 1 into it, and that will give us 1 upon I factorial. So in this way we can calculate factorials and inverse factorials, and the time complexity of preprocess function will be O of n for calculating all the factorials, and then we calculate inverse factorial of n minus 1, and that is log of mod, because we use binary exponentiation here. But now we again use a single loop, so we'll again have an O of n. So we can actually say that this is of the order n, because log of mod will actually be quite smaller. So we can actually do this preprocessing in O of n. And now calculating NCR is actually quite easy. If r is greater than n, we can simply return 0. Otherwise, we know that NCR is n factorial upon r factorial upon n minus r factorial. So we'll multiply factorial of n with inverse factorial of r with inverse factorial of n minus r, and that will give us NCR. So now we are actually forming the list F, which was storing all the frequencies. So we'll iterate over all the elements of array and do m of I plus plus. That is, m of I actually stores the frequency of I in our array. So again, we iterate over the vector and push the frequencies in our vector v. So now we'll sort our vector v, that is, we'll sort the frequencies. We assign answer as 0, and we loop over the frequencies f, which I described. So f, this is actually the frequency of all the elements in my subsequence. I'll assign result as 1. Now I'll iterate over the vector only for the elements which are greater than or equal to I, because for less than I, their contribution will only be 1. So for example, if our list was 2, 3, 7, 8 and current I is 4, we will only consider elements 7 to 8. And since our list is sorted, we'll use lower bound, and lower bound actually returns the smallest value which is greater than or equal to I. So for example, if I is 4, the smallest value which is greater than or equal to 4 is 7. So it returns a pointer to this element. And so we'll start from here and move till the end of the array. And now the contribution of any element will be 1 plus star it is the value at this pointer, which is fi c f. And finally, we will add res minus 1 to our answer and simply return answer. So as you can see that the total time complexity will be O of n. Also, we have binary search here, so this will be O of n log n. And the space complexity will be O of n, because we are only calculating the factorials, inverse factorials, and a map of frequencies of all the elements. So I hope the idea was clear to you. If you like the video, please hit the like button. And for more such amazing videos, subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching this video.